And I wrote about the rioting that happened recently. Retirement. How bloody wonderful is that word? Get up when you want to, go to bed when you want. That's the two good things about it. It's filling in the rest of the day that's the hardest. When I retired, I thought it'd be great to have all this free time, but when it came to it, I didn't know what to do with myself. I get up, have a drink of tea, get the papers. Never much worth reading in them nowadays, most people would tell you. Breakfast is followed by a bit of morning telly and then maybe a walk to the park, if the weather's nice of course. Since I lost the wife, it hasn't been quite the same, less nagging for a start. Funny how you miss these things, but hey, there's lots of young totty in the park most days to look at. Despite my age, I can still appreciate a nice bum and a long pair of legs, and that blonde I like the look of, gave me the eye the last time I saw her. Maybe she'd be there again today. Does she know how to turn on the charm and make one's heart skip a beat? With the sun coming through her hair, she looks like a real angel. As it turned out, the weather changed for the worse. The sky darkened and soon enough rain was coming down like the Niagara Falls. Not the ideal day for a walk, so I sat at the window and watched the world go by. Lunchtime arrived soon enough, and with its blue sky and the sun decided to appear. So after a snack, I decided to sit out in the front garden. I don't know how long I'd slept for, but I was woken by the sound of raised voices. It had been a quiet day, as the day is long up until then. I raised my head and looked up to see a small gathering of people on the other side of the road. They were of mixed ages and sexes, but most young people with their ubiquitous dark-coloured hoodies and eyes with clothing I always thought a waste of good cloth, since the majority of people wear them never use a hood. But this afternoon was different, as most of them were. Someone else had scarves around the bottom parts of their faces, even though the air was clear. Nothing like November the 5th. Then the air could become somewhat smoky with the overuse of cheap fireworks, which promised so much on the outside of the box, but usually failed to deliver. Other than a few lacklustre sparks that, when used en masse, a fog of fumes that would keep a heavy smoke happy for a while, they were useless. It was then that I also saw in the hands of some lengths of wood and bats of various kinds. As time went on, like a virus, more and more of them seemed to glove their hands as well. What on earth was going on? The local area had nothing of the game culture that one seems to hear about on the news so often these recent years. It had always been a quiet suburban area where families could be brought up and the parents continued to live now that their offspring had flown the nest. The park some 400 yards away had known a bit of boisterousness over the years, but nothing as sinister as this was looking to become. Suddenly, as if a fuse had been lit, the general chatter of the group got louder, which quickly became indecipherable chanting. More scarves were raised to cover their identities, and the wooden battens and the like were raised and waved above their heads. A great cheer went out, and then the mass, like a large glacier of ice, moved towards the direction of the main high street about a quarter of a mile away. They didn't seem like the so-called football supporters you saw on the news occasionally, causing friction with the others of the opposite team. It was time to retreat indoors, I thought to myself. Oh no, the door was closed. Scratching frantically and then barking loudly, I was happy when the door opened and I could run to my basket, where my soft toys I could curl up and feel safe once more.
Our relationship has gone sour. I'd like it to stop. Like week-old meat now, but it's starting to rot. Your conversations are dull and full of waffle. I wish for steak, but all I got was offal. If you were one of the 99% of germs I could reach, I would erase you easily with household bleach. I imagine you to be my used shopping list, cross-through thrown away and never miss. Like a pot noodle, you're quick and unfulfilling, your voice drone-like, painful as a bee sting, to be silenced with the application of a clarity. But now you're gone, and I realise I was wrong.
This first one is called Just a Writer. I'd like to dedicate it to my mum, actually, who sat just there. So she was the first person to inspire me into the love of words that I'm about to sort of talk about. When I was younger, I remember reading her poetry and just thinking, wow, this is amazing. I wish that I could write such amazing poetry. And now I've been writing for a few years myself. I actually realised hers was very much average. But I have surpassed that, and hopefully you'll see what I mean. This is called Just a Writer. I'm just a writer. I document what is already there. I mean, sure, some things are written more for what I'd hope would, will, or should be, but there's nothing particularly different that can easily be seen. It's not like exonerating responsibility for an action, it's more reiterating stability, restoring a fraction of sense and sensibility, censoring no sanction, seeking of solving through stating what happens. I write a lot about writing because I don't understand how sometimes rain can feel like such a relief and other times just wet. And though I know I won't die from not knowing what it is about the rain or the sky or my skin or the situation I'm in when it feels like nothing else could cleanse my soul or my mind more than that wetness, I'd rather try it and fail to capture it than let it just be wet. I think it would be an awful shame not to try to find a way of documenting it. But at the same time, don't you find it so bitterly sweet and frustrating when you can't find the words to describe the feeling it finds in you, so feeling it is the only way to find it and know, and I will still try to write it. And I know some words will never be as good as a kiss, but what if you don't have a kiss? And what if it's not raining? I can still feel it. Can you? And I suppose that's because I'm just a writer. I'll write expecting not to find the words, and I will still try to write them. And I know no words are as good as a kiss, but with words I can tell you this. You should try it. Thank you.